All right, welcome everybody to the course. I'm really glad that you're here, and thank you again for checking out the course. I really want to just start off by introducing you to the concept of web scraping, what it is, how it works, just kind of a general overview. This will come in handy down the road if you're getting ready to dive into more advanced parts of web scraping, or maybe you're having to troubleshoot something that you're doing. It will help you just by kind of understanding the basic foundations of it and testing some different things out. So let's just dive in here. To define web scraping, this is the Wikipedia definition, and I would definitely recommend that you click through to Wikipedia and check out some of the additional information here. But web scraping essentially is a computer going out and grabbing information from sites automatically for you. The reason this is so important is, say there's a site that has a lot of information that's useful to you or your business. You can actually train the computer to go out there and grab that information for you without you having to expend all your resources clicking through and copying and pasting, etc. So it's a really, really efficient way to get large amounts of data very, very quickly. A couple companies here that use web scraping and have made it a core part of their business. Obviously, you're familiar with Google. It's a very household name. Specifically, Google's using web scraping by going out and crawling all of the sites on the web and maybe your website, etc. And they scrape that information off the site, bring it back to Google so that when you are searching for a set of keywords in Google, it will display different information from the other sites, so you can kind of find that those websites actually exist. So it's using scraping to make searching possible. And Kayak is doing kind of a similar thing. When you search on Kayak, it helps you find travel information or travel prices for airlines and hotels, etc., across many, many different sites. So they're using web scraping to aggregate all that information. So when you do a search on Kayak, it's actually pulling info from all over the web, which is really useful to you as a consumer because all that information is held there together. So just a couple examples to kind of contextualize that. You've probably experienced web scraping, maybe not firsthand, but you've kind of seen it in action from these other companies out there. Here's a little overview on how web scraping itself works. It's broken down on my slide here into 3 parts. And it's pretty simple to understand, so I'll just kind of go through them one by one. So to start off with, the first one is download. And so anytime you're on the web and you're browsing the web, your web browser is actually pulling information. It's downloading information from a web server and displaying it for you on your computer. So a scraper is going to do that same thing. It's going to call the web server and say, hey, show me that information. Show me the page that I'm looking for. Now, once we have that page loaded, what we're going to do is we're going to parse information. And what parse means here is that we're going to take very specific pieces of information that are useful to us out of the page. So if we're on IMDb and we're looking at the top 100 movie list, and that's really the information that we want to pull out, is what are the top 100 movies on IMDb, the scraper would load that page. Then we would define a set of rules for the scraper to only grab the movies that are in the top 100 list. So we're not going to grab any of the images on the sidebar. We're not going to grab any of the other links or anything like that, or even the header or the search bar. All we want to know is what are those top 100 movies. So we're going to parse that information out of the page. And then in the third step, what we're going to do is take that information and store it. So the tools that we're using today will kind of have their own version of storage, but storage can mean a lot of different things in this scenario. It's really just however you want to take that information and where you want to keep it. So in some cases, you might want to put it in a web server somewhere. For our examples today, we'll be pulling things down into the import.io tool, and then we'll have the opportunity to export those through Excel, CSV, HTML, or even JSON if we'd like to. So we can use all those options, but the course specifically is pointed at non-technical people. So I'm assuming that you don't really want to use a JSON file. You're probably going to want to use a CSV file and then load that into Google Docs, or just keep it in CSV on your desktop and analyze it that way, which is totally fine. Those are actually really, really there's a lot of really powerful things you can do with the data that way. But just to kind of get this down, it's download, parse, and store. Those are kind of the 3 steps that we'll be going through here. It just gives you kind of a fundamental understanding of how web scraping works. And because this course is about teaching folks that are non-technical to do web scraping, I want to show you what it takes to do web scraping if you are technical and you are going that route. So the top example is a Python script, and it's a really short one. 14 lines is very short for a Python script, and it's doing something very, very simple in this case. But if you've never coded before, you don't know any other computer languages, or even if you do, you may kind of gloss over when you see this code. And what we want to do with this course is prevent you the time and effort that it takes to learn to code just specifically for web scraping, which is something that I've actually been doing on the side, has been learning Python specifically because I came across web scraping and I knew how much of a game changer it was. So yeah, we're going to help you skip past all those things. So just give you a kind of a little context to what we're helping you with. The next set of things here you see is the regular expressions, and sometimes referred to as regex. And what this is it's actually, this is a statement. So it's a series of statements and rules that define what kind of information we would pull out of a page. So if you remember from the last slide, the second step is parsing. So regular expressions actually help us to parse data out of a page. Now, we're not going to have you use regular expressions at all during this course, but again, it's helpful to know like what kinds of things you're going to need to do to scrape without a tool like import.io. So it just gives you a little context again on what you're not having to learn. I will say that if you have the desire to get better and to get more technical and understand more things about web scraping and how the web works and parsing, etc., you should take the time to learn some of these extra concepts, because it can really make you do or help you do some very powerful things. Additionally, XPath, which is the last example here, is another, it's not the same as regex, but it's another way for us to identify elements in an HTML page. So this is another statement that says, hey, grab these certain elements from the page and don't worry about anything else. So it's something that import.io has built right into it, so we don't really have to worry about understanding these things either. But these three things are well worth your time looking into after the course if there's still a desire to continue to learn there. These are the two pieces of technology we'll be using. Import.io, which is free. It's a fantastic piece of software. It's relatively new to the market, so that's why we're taking the time to learn it today. It's browser-based, which is brilliant, because instead of pulling up the data in like Google Chrome and then writing a script to go out and analyze that data from like a terminal or from a text editor. Instead, we're actually going to pull the page up in the browser and select directly in front of us the elements that we'd like to pull out of the page. So it's pretty fantastic how it works. They also have a really great team. They give a lot of support when you need it, so they're very responsive. And if you run into any issues, of course, we're going to have a community aspect to this course, so you can put it in the main questions area. But if you have any other questions that the community is not able to answer, it's a great way to get some quick info as well by just reaching out to them and to their support staff, because they've been very helpful to me thus far. Additionally, we're also going to be using Google Spreadsheets. So if you don't have a Google account or a Gmail account, you should go get one so that you can use Google Spreadsheets in this course. You don't absolutely have to. Like if you have, say, for instance, Microsoft Excel on your computer, that should do the trick for the most part. I will be packaging up some templates for use with this course when I post it. So you'll be able to download those templates directly into Google Spreadsheets. So if that's something that you want, you should make sure that you have those as well. And then, it's really helpful for sharing our work as well. So if you have a data set, you can either share it directly from import.io, or you can put it into Google Spreadsheets and share it in the community section here on the site. So those are the two things that you'll need to get started with the course. Beyond that, let's go to the next video and start talking about some strategies for effective scraping. Thanks for joining me again.